throw the ball, such a simple phrase and idea. You could hear this phrase in many different settings, from a backyard game to little league fields to a pickup game of wiffle ball. But how does this connect to education? My goal for today, as we round the bases, is that I leave you with simple ways to connect with your students. Early in the spring, I was sitting outside grading assignments in Google Classroom. I noticed a dad and a son getting ready to get their baseball gear out. The son proudly put on his batting helmet and batting gloves and grabbed his bat. The dad, anxious for his son to get ready, grabbed the bucket of baseballs. The boy was ready to hit. As I watched, I could see the dad get quite frustrated with his son. He was getting frustrated. His swing wasn't right. He was too close to the plate. Instead of allowing his son to actually hit, he was using the precious time to criticize. I could tell by the way that the boy had his bat on his shoulder. All he wanted to do was have his dad throw the ball. How many times in education do we hold on to the ball, whatever the ball may be, and not allow our students to learn and grow with our guidance and not our constant voice? My name is Jenna Leaverton, and I'm an 8th grade science teacher. Please do something for me. Close your eyes and imagine yourself at home plate getting ready to hit. Some of you are like, I've totally got this, and some of you are ready to run back into the dugout. When I turned 33, I was working for an irrigation district. I felt exactly like those of you getting ready to run back into the dugout. I knew that I was doing something that I was not meant to do. My teacher story is different. I was blessed to become a teacher by becoming emergency certified. How I got a hit and actually made it on base is my background in engineering, in both potable and irrigation water systems. This allowed me to get my foot into the door with quite a bit of help from a dear teacher friend and amazing CTE director. For the first year, I spent my planned period watching my friend teach. I was always a day behind her in curriculum. To be honest, most days I felt like I was striking out, until a colleague came into my room and gave me the best advice that I want to share with you today as we round first base. He looked at me and said, you have to develop relationships with kids. Make the connections. Go out of your way to learn about them. Once you do that, then you can teach the content. Sometimes we have to throw the ball and see where it lands before we can make the play. Typically in baseball, once you are on first base, the next short-term goal is to steal and advance to second. This puts you in scoring position. I would like to share how I advance my position with students from day one. I have taught secondary students both 8th and 9th grade, so I know how overwhelming it is to try to learn 150 students' names in a few short days. However, my advice to you is to connect with students by learning their names. I completely agree with Rick Roridan, who says names have power. I print out my attendance sheet with images and I greet my students at the door. This allows me to search my roster for their picture and also take attendance at the same time. I use the same roster for the whole week and I just use a different color marker for each day. By greeting students at the door, it allows you to see each student and start to make a connection, even before they walk through the door. Another added bonus, typically if you greet students at the door, they seem to be more calm when they enter the classroom. Take a moment to remember the dad and son getting ready to hit. This third base tip is how to steal individual time with each student. I follow Jennifer Gonzalez, and she states, to learn something, you must do something. One way that I have students do something is at the beginning of class, there is always an entry task that they must complete to earn daily points on their stamp card. You have to throw the ball. Give students a chance to complete the task without your direct instruction. Yes, I know some of you are shaking your heads. A stamp card, really, for 8th graders? But yes, it really works. My colleague, Bobby Kipperman, gave me this idea and it just exploded in my classroom. You would not think that 8th or 9th grade students would get excited about a stamp on an index card, but they'd love to see what stamp set I have out. Here's the kicker and the most important piece. When students are completing the entry task, you have to walk around to each student, take a few moments to check in on them. Ask them about the sports that they completed last night, the band, the choir concert, the youth event that they took part in. Compliment them on their shoes, their hairstyle, a pencil, anything. Make a connection each day with your students. Bonus tip, I also use this stamp card as a place to record scores on assignments, labs, and then have students turn them in on Friday so everything goes in the gradebook weekly. As we round towards home plate, I am reminded that the catcher will be waiting for us, and I have one of his defensive players to throw the ball. The catcher resembles the student that is incredibly hard to make a connection with, but remember to be patient and kind. Keep asking questions. I had a student that I finally had a breakthrough with over fruit snacks. My last tip is at the end of the unit for students to complete a self-reflection as well as a teacher reflection. I have students complete this in a Google form so I can quickly review their answers. Make sure you ask the questions that include, how can I be a better teacher for you? Students have some great ideas and they seem more willing to answer these tough questions over a Google form. Make sure you implement at least one thing from the student answers. This will be easy to do, I promise. We went all the way around the bases, and I hope that I've given you some tips on how to connect with students in your classroom. Let's remember the dad and the son at the beginning. Make sure you are willing to throw the ball to your students. Give them chances to learn and grow without you being the sage on the stage. Thanks.